So that's the long and the short of it.
Welcome one and all, those who are our usual visitors and those who are new. It's great to have everyone here tonight.
Can you stand up a little bit, Liliana? That's better.
Wow! Yeah, look, there is one.
That's why I got a smile on my face all the time.
That's extraordinary. Okay, we have two speakers tonight.
They're all tall too, they're both
And
tall.
they're both tall, they're both giants. So we're in for a fantastic night. Colin was booked as our main speaker on the fluoride issue, and then we learnt about the work Trevor is doing to educate people about fire ants. And he reckons in 15 minutes or so he can give us the goods. So we're going to have him do that in a moment, and then we're going to give the rest of the night to Colin, and then they'll both be available for questions. And there is quite a connection between, a connection theme between what they're on about. It's all good. I have to jump down now to do something. So, just need to give you a couple of quick announcements. Myplace Queensland is hosting or putting on a camp out on the last weekend of November, and they're wanting as many Myplace members as possible to go along. And there's one happening in Victoria at the same time. So, but this one in Queensland is going to be around Black Butt, around that area. If you know where that is? No.
About 2 hours from here.
Yeah. 90 minutes west of Beerwah. And they're going to be having workshops. I want people to offer workshops to run, and it should be actually fabulous. So I might see if you'll about going to that. That sounds really good. So we'll give you more information as we go. So that's one thing that we wanted to tell you about. There is on Wednesday the 16th of October, there is is that this coming Wednesday? That's a passion for me. Okay, there is a Queensland coordinators and members Zoom for Myplace. So anyone who's a coordinator or a member of Myplace is welcome to come on the Zoom and hear about what's happening with Myplace, where it's going, what's up. So we've got a Zoom link which we can share. So that's that piece of news.
Can you show me how to make that work?
How to make that work? The Zoom, how to go on Zoom. Sure.
Did you say that was on Wednesday night?
Yeah.
That's not so right.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's mine. I've got my
It's Tuesday night, is it, John?
I think it's Tuesday, 16th,
No, it
it's
says
Tuesday.
Wednesday the 16th.
Oh, is it?
Which is actually when I'm hosting my open mic night at the cafe on Tuesday. So you have to find out if it's going to be a monkey, doubling up or what.
Yeah, Tuesday, 7:30, Tuesday, Wednesday.
What was that, sorry, Don?
7:30 Wednesday.
7:30 Wednesday, yeah, that's right. So we'll put the link out so people can join. So that's that I want to tell you about. The business directory, we have a business directory for every year. We want more members. And there's also the Gold Coast Business Directory, which is quite a bit bigger. And we just would love to be able to support our members with businesses. So can I just ask, how many of you are running a business in this area? I'm putting my hand up. Katarina is. Anybody else? And you are? Yeah. So let's just hear so Katarina is hairdressing and essential oils. And your business is?
It's essential oils.
Essential oils.
But not actual oils. I make like perfumes and I make water silver and needle spray.
Things like that. Okay. So I just feel like it's really important that we let each other know what we do. I'm a writer and an editor, and I teach writing courses and teach French and personal development courses and bits and pieces like that. So
I'm also a kinesiologist.
and a kinesiologist. Great. All right. So we just need to kind of share what we do. Next thing that I wanted to let you know is this is our last event in this hall for the year. So the fourth Friday of this month, we would usually be having an event. The hall is being used for the election. The what?
The selection.
The selection. That's right. They'll be setting up for the for the elections for all of us. Anyway, that was
Just on that, folks, remember, vote early and vote often.
all right. So after what attention, children, play. So what we're doing instead of being here on that Friday is we're going to meet at the Jimboomba Community Gardens for a social night. We're going to have a barbecue, a bonfire, music. We're hoping someone will play music, and some stories and singing and whatever. We're just going to have a bit of a relaxed night. So as a kind of end of the year event, because early November, a few of us on the committee are going to be away, so we're not going to run our usual event. But we will offer something else in November. It might be, we'll just say we're all meeting at this restaurant for dinner if you want to join us, or something like that. We'll do something else in November before silly season starts. And then we're going to actually be taking some time to reflect on what to do next year, because whether it's the venue or the night we choose or whatever, we've just had very low numbers. Tonight, this is a bit of a record for a while. This is really good numbers. So we would appreciate your feedback. Everyone who's here tonight, what works for what doesn't. We're thinking about whether we need to alternate between, say, an evening with a guest speaker and a daytime one where families can come to or whatever. We're trying to figure out what to do in 2025. Can you believe it's going to be 2025 very soon? So feedback is appreciated on that. Any thoughts you have? And then we'll come back with bigger and better in 2025. Is the plan? Anyway.
That was entertainment.
That was, yes, everything here is for your entertainment only, as you can see. And we have our first act right now. This is Trevor Hold, who is going to entertain us about fire ants.
Yep.
And you're on the clock.
Yeah.
And he's also, don't forget to tell everybody about the book.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I'll come back up and...
You're taking up my time. Guys, Trevor Hall. I'm here today to quickly talk about fire ants. A little bit about myself. I'm a counsellor and mental health practitioner and a cattle farmer, so I identify as multi-entrepreneur, doing stuff, doing whatever I can. I didn't choose to get involved in this campaign. I've been personally affected, and I through lack of knowledge, so I brought it on myself to try and raise awareness in the community about what's going on. So I could talk about this issue for weeks because there's so much involved, but try to keep it short. Basically, fire ants breached our borders between 1986 and 1991. Is when it's estimated, and it's believed to come from agricultural equipment from the US. So they've been pests over there in the US since 1940, and they originally come from South America. So they were first discovered on the Brisbane Wharf in 2001. So when they discovered them, they done a bit of a look around and identified them, and based on how many nests they estimated that they had been around for 10 to 15 years prior. So that's how long they've been around in southeast Queensland for. So over the last 5 years, the distribution of fire ants in the community has more than doubled, despite over $1 billion being spent in suppression and eradication. So they haven't really made any impact at all, and they're still breaching. Late last year, they've come up with this eradication plan, and that involves prophylactically treating fire ants. So that means preventative baiting. So whether fire ants exist or not, they've come up with a horseshoe design, and it spreads from the Gold Coast up through the Lockyer Valley, where I come from, up north of Caboolture. So it's a massive area, 600-700 kilometres, and they're treating that 3 times a year prophylactically. So whether fire ants exist or not, every square centimetre of that, it's about 10 kilometres wide, is going to get baited, whether you like it or not, and they're calling it mandatory treatment. And they're actually doing it under Section 261 of the Biosecurity Act. And that's how they're justifying it. So in addition to that eradication program, there's also another program. So the eradication program is federally funded, There's also a state program that's called FAST, which is Fire Ant Suppression Teams. So they're supposed to be going within the suppression zone, treating fire ants, and the theory being that between now and 2032, that eradication zone is going to get smaller and smaller until there's no more fire ants. Apparently, that's the theory. So that's basically a bit of a summary of what's going on. In relation to the prophylactic treatment, which is what I'm going to speak about, because there are chemicals used in the FAST program that are cancer causing, and there's other things, but more importantly I feel it's important to understand that they're treating areas that have not known fire ants, and they're also treating areas that have no possibility of fire ants establishing successful colonies. So fire ants are known, and they have been researched very much, so they cannot exist in heavily treed areas and forest areas. So they need to have like sun shining on them, on their nests, to successfully inhabit areas. So there's a lot of aerial baiting where they're doing a lot of full forestry and treed areas as well, through the Corundum region and through Talavadra and even up my way on the hills there in the ranges. So there's a lot of bait being indiscriminately distributed. So the bait they use are distant and engage. So distant has active ingredients of, so excuse my pronunciation, pyroproxyphen, I feel, is a close representation to the word. And the other one is engage is S-methoprene. So they're both toxic poison. They call them they call them insecticides. So they're part of a pesticide group, specifically for insects, so they call them insecticide. So to minimise the term, or to minimise the effects of these things, they call them insect growth inhibitors or something like that. It's just to try and minimise it, but basically they are a toxic poison. Yeah. And they literally took the definition of it as a poison out of there's a section that they literally changed the definition for this program because people were saying it was poison. But anyway, so I've been exposed to these chemicals since 2019, and I've had my property aerial baited. I've had it baited with motorbikes, UTVs, and by hand distribution. So my main problem at first was interruptions to my stock, my animals. I've got cattle, horses, and also dogs, but the helicopter was giving grief and running through the fences, and I complained about that, and they brought the motorbikes in, but they were just as destructive. So then they brought in 20 guys with fluoro shirts, bloody seen it and that sort of stuff. So I wasn't really concerned about the effects of the actual products that they're putting down, because they were minimised. The effects were very minimised to me, and it was very complacent about it, because the guys went around their proper safety equipment and this and that, and even the workers. So it was a very relaxed sort of attitude. But it wasn't until I had my first calf died in November this year, euthanized at 6 weeks old, and I had another calf euthanized at the 7th of July of this year. The second calf that went had a necropsy report on it, and it died. Its liver was 1.5 times its normal size, full of toxic poison, and they eliminated all the viral infections and everything with it. And we correlated the death, and I know correlation is not causation, but all my cattle are registered and DNA tested, never had any liver problems before, and we got parenting history going back decades. With no, they were our first 2 deaths that we've experienced, and it all correlates around the poisoning of my property. So, and we've got no toxic weeds. Our property is very well maintained. We've got no fireweed, we've got no antenna or any toxic plants. But anyway, so that's how I got involved in this campaign, because what they're doing is going to cause harm, and there's research out there about the effects on mammals in mice and chickens, and it's all out there. But they're relying on some research from 1999 or something from WHO and saying it's safe and effective or whatever. But so I wasn't being heard at all by the program, and no one was responding to me or my concerns. They just literally ignored me. So I've done a an article that was designed to create attention, called about Warrabilla. It can happen again, because as a mental health practitioner, people will get anxious and stressed out about these people barging onto their property and not letting them say no. So I've done an article like that, and instead of responding to my concerns, Mark Furner actually reported me to the authorities for being a terrorist. So that was something that happened. And that's the type of thing that you deal with. We've got other campaigners here. Instead of addressing the issues, they attack the person, and that's generally what happened. ABC are very good at that.
Who was that? Mike Turner.
Yeah. Mark Furner. Yeah.
Mark Turner.
Yeah. And he was an agricultural minister. Yeah. So I actually emailed every master's over 100 state public politicians of it, and only one got back. Mr. Andrew got back. And he's the only one that got back to me on it. Even my local members never got back to me at all. Mr. Andrew actually sponsored a petition, which has got my name on it, that we can sign. That's going to go to Parliament at the end of this program. So mindful of the time, I haven't got long to go. But in the act that they're acting on, it's got a clause, unless you've got a reasonable excuse. So the message that I'm bringing to people is the reasonable excuse is not defined in legislation. It's not there. There's no reasonable excuse to sign. So it's what an ordinary person, not the workers, not the employee, not the management, not some scientist in some laboratory somewhere, but an ordinary everyday person would consider reasonable under the circumstances. Now, everyone I spoke to, and I spoke to people across the whole eradication zone, would consider not having fire ants on your property or no evidence of fire ants in your area is a reasonable excuse not to get treated for fire ants. It just makes sense to me. But so my message is just keep saying no. You know, they're going to threaten you with police, they'll threaten you with arrest, they'll threaten you with $15,000 fines, and they're going to try and bully your way in there. And they've got all these coercive control measures to get onto your property to prophylactic and treat for fire ants. But my message is just say no. And just keep saying no. And I think together we can stop it. But so because I was getting ignored so much, I decided to seek out expert opinions myself. So I reached out to Dr. Joshua King, and he's in the US, and he works for Florida University, and they're the highest researched institute on fire ants. So they're like the renowned fire experts. So I just read his letter that he sent, expressing his concern. So, to whom it may concern, so this is Dr. Joshua King, University of Central Florida, Biology Department. He's got his credentials there. But to whom it may concern, I'm writing regarding concerns that I have about the ongoing red and corded fire ant, and he's got the technical name for it, plan as conceived and currently being carried out by the National Management Group's National Fire Ant Eradication Program and the Queensland Government's and Biosecurity Queensland Fire Ant Suppression Program. So they're the two programs that are running concurrently, and it's purposely done to confuse people. But and potentially other areas, e.g. New South Wales, Northern New South Wales is fire ants there as well, in Eastern Australia. As a point of reference, I and my research group have one of the most active, continuously US federally funded research programs in the world, with the specific aims of understanding the biology and ecology of fire ants and how fire ants interact with species in the ecosystems they invade. We work to translate our understanding of fire ants ecology into effective real-world management solutions to problems associated with fire ant invasions. As such, I have developed the only non-toxic management technology for fire ants that is currently in use in the US, managing the fire ant populations in sensitive environments. He's got the patent number and everything there. And in defence of the threatened and endangered wildlife effects of fire ants. In short, I bring decades of experience with real-world interactions with fire ants in a variety of natural and human-modified environments in the region of southeastern USA that has been entirely invaded by fire ants for more than 50 years. So he goes on and says, my concerns with the fire ant eradication program are that ongoing and developing in Queensland and New South Wales are focused on two issues: excessive, potentially ecological harmful over-application of toxic baits and lack of alternative management approaches and tools other than widespread application of service broadcast baits. And then he goes on and addresses them all with some research. But there is two main things, and there's a minute left, so the main problem is that eventually the fire ants will develop immunity to all the excessive baiting, is one of the issues. And then the other issue is by prophylactically treating it is killing all the native non-targeted species, and it does have big impacts on especially waterways. It's well documented, but like I'd argue is even with mammals, but killing the ants off in that area. The fire ants are known to be super invaders, that's what they are, they're super invaders, so they'll get into their areas uncontested because there's no natural competition for them. So there are a couple of issues. So Dr. Joshua King invented this like a hot water machine, low pressure hot water device that is effective, but it treats actual nests. So moving away from broad scale treatment of just randomly throwing bait around is treating the nest is what I'm trying to achieve here. And I've got one of his machines, I own one, I bought it, it cost me about 30 grand, and I've got it here in Australia, but I'm not allowed to use it because they don't recognise that as a treatment. So a non-toxic way of treating fire ants is not recognised by the program, and they actually put advertising in people's mailbox saying that hot water treatment doesn't work, despite scientific evidence to the contrary. So, but yeah, like I said, there's some papers here with some articles and that there. This was just a basic summary of the program for you, so just a bit of an insight. I've got a book here about the US experience that's documented here. I've got my name in it. You can pass this book around, and when you're finished with it, send it back to us or whatever. And I've got some brochures here of the Biosecurity Act and that they're working on. And I've been some of these times to fund the campaign. So, but yeah. But anyway, guys, that's hopefully a little bit of information for you, and hopefully that might inspire you to look up the program. And,
Is there some way that you were able to share your petition with us?
Yeah, I've sent it through. I've sent it through to you.
Yeah.
I've sent it through.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Alright, so you're hanging around, right? So then we can do some questions later. But that was really great. Thank you for sharing that. And Colin.
Okay. Well, dinner, I could go through almost very similar situations. I got poisoned by a dentist, got me involved in this, by mercury, actually. So mercury will be banned worldwide sooner or later. But and then for some reason I got on the fluoride issue, and it's only in 5% of the world. But anyway, well, I've got a presentation. It's probably too long, so I'll skip through the early parts and then get down to the nitty-gritties of what's happening in the last few months or weeks and what to do about it.
Yeah, we've gone before.
Oh, it should be on the screen. Oh, is this?
On to the rescue. Yeah.
Suspense will drum roll. You've got the right suit to do it. Yeah, you're going to win the
Well, what's that mean? Oh, right. Okay, yeah, so 7 or 8 years ago, I took over a lady's Facebook page in the Sunshine Coast. It was called Fluoride for Australia. Because I was posting so much stuff on it, I said, here, you have it. And then a few years later, a guy in West Australia wanted to start a sort of an umbrella Australia-wide group to join all the groups together. And he liked the name Fluoride Free Australia. I said, yeah, you want your Facebook page too? All right, you have it. I'm out of here. Well, now, I think I'm now the president of Fluoride Free Australia. I still run the Facebook page, and here I am.
And also leading the Myplace group in Brisbane.
Oh, wow.
Coordinating. Where? In Brisbane.
Inner North Brisbane. Now changed. I do have a stand in the park, got a huge following of 3 or 4 people.
We're going to need to follow that.
I've already told that, but because there's no children here, there'll be heaps of F words. Like fraud, farce, fluoride,
Free.
and a few more. I could go through the alphabet, but that's enough. That's about us. We want to educate the community. We've got a very good Facebook page, I must say so myself. And the website. Andrew and WA's put a hell of a lot of work to it, and it's very good web page or website. And yeah, basically, now in the last few years you've heard of a product that is safe and effective in stopping the sort of flu that come out of China. Safe and effective. That's not a lie, that's 2 lies. Same with fluoride. It's not safe, it's not effective, and it's certainly not ethical to medicate everybody via the water supply without their consultation or consent. And what is it? It's, you put a little bit of poison into the water for the outside surface of your teeth. Does that make sense? No. Yeah, it puts fluoride ions into the water, and they might get attracted to your teeth, maybe, but most of it is swallowed. And most of the water supply never touches your teeth. 99% of it hits the environment. And it's supposed to stop tooth decay. And it can vary from 0.6 parts per million or milligrams per litre up to 1.1 milligrams per litre. And here in southeast Queensland, it's 0.8 milligrams per litre. A milligram is 1,000th of a gram. A gram is about a teaspoon. No, a teaspoon is 5 milligrams. Well, it's a tiny little bit of poison. It's also, what we use here is an insecticide. Sodium fluoride is used to kill insecticides and rats and mice. The sodium fluorosilicate is also used by amalgamated pest control here in Brisbane right now. And even the bods from the government get the difference between concentration and dose mixed up. That's the concentration in the water. Part per million, or 0.8 parts per million, that's what's in the water. The dose would be how much water you drank, or how many litres of water you drank, we'll multiply that by 0.8. But it's not just in the water, it's in your foods, your beverages, your dental products, the air, the soil, dust, medicines, cigarettes, beer, you name it, it's everywhere.
The paper straws contain fluoride. I read an article about paper straws contain fluoride.
Fluoride, the floss, some of the flosses got fluoride. Basic facts. That's what they use in WA, it's a liquid acid from the fertiliser industry. Here in Queensland, they're nearly all powder. Sometimes they can be derived from that fluorosilicic acid. It's not an essential nutrient, even though they call it that, because it's good for teeth. There's no biological function in the human body or mammalian body that requires fluoride. They call it a nutrient because it might help tooth decay on your teeth. And so there's no such thing as a fluoride deficiency in the human body. I just said that. It interferes with all, or possibly interferes with all biological processes in the body. We'll get to that later, I think. It's enzyme inhibitor. And every process in your body needs enzymes and hormones. A little bit about the history. That's a York Review in the UK. Says it's a bit dicey. The WHO, they all endorse it, but they haven't done any studies or risk assessments or studies. They endorsed it in the 50s, 1950s. And it's, 1950s science and endorsement. Trust us, it's good for teeth. And now we've got thousands of studies showing its harm, so it's not safe. I'll give you thousands of studies. Our websites there's lots of other websites around the world. The United States did one, and it concluded it can damage teeth. So there's a risk of when your adult teeth are forming in your gums, you get too much fluoride, it ruins the enamel permanently for the rest of your life. It can accumulate in your bones and give you arthritic-like symptoms or worse. And now it's been shown to be an unreasonable risk to the brain of the fetus and children, young children. Interferes with the endocrine system, especially the thyroid. It may cause osteocarcinoma, probably because when it attaches to things like natural radiation, it'll escort it into your bones, it'll stay there for a long time. That's what osteocarcinoma is, cancer of the bones. And you can't control the dose. Tea is very high in fluoride. Some people drink a lot of tea, and we all got different genes. I mentioned dental fluorosis, young children get too much, and their adult teeth are ruined for the rest of their life. I'll just skip through a lot of this, get to the nitty-gritties. That's in America. The dental fluorosis has been rising and rising, and they used to track it, but now it got so high, we're not tracking it anymore. It shows it's up to 60% of all children in America get dental fluorosis of some form. And when it gets to moderate and severe dental fluorosis, it is ugly, yellow or brown stains on your teeth.
Is it that patchy stuff?
Sorry?
It sort of turns patchy, like yellow and brown, and it's patchy.
Yeah.
I've seen kids with that.
It ruins the enamel. When it's mild, very mild, it comes at white little patches.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be good. That looks good, doesn't it? if you get too much, you become yellow or brown stones.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, it's just aesthetic, it doesn't affect
I've
you.
seen a dentist kid with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of these dentists, oh, it's good for your teeth, we'll give my kids some more, and they ruin them. The actor Superman in America,
Reeds or, is that it?
oh, the modern day one.
Oh.
Christopher Reeves.
No, he's the old one.
Oh.
Anyway, no, Captain America, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Captain America.
Yeah.
His father was a dentist, gave him fluoride tablets and ruined his teeth. But because he's a dentist, he gave him all veneers, so he could be a good movie actor. Good teeth.
What's a video?
It's like a little layer of artificial enamel,
Oh.
and they cost $1,000 each or more. And you got to renew them every 5 to 10 years.
Oh.
It's good money spent for dentists, eh? And it doesn't matter how much fluoride you got in the water, dental fluorosis stays about the same for all different amounts in the water. And it can accumulate in your bones. And it does make your bones more dense. It also makes your bones more brittle. And once your bones are brittle, in old age, you fall over, break a bone, and the statistics with the Australian government, you've got 30% chance of dying in your old age from a broken bone because in bedridden, and then you can't move, and eventually you die because,
They get depressed and die basically.
well, depressed or,
Yeah, they get depressed and lack food and blah blah blah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another risk, but they don't tell you about all these risks as safe and effective. And you're cuckoo if you bring it up. You're tinfoil hat people. You're a pro anti-vaxxer.
Yes.
Thyroid function, it's, your thyroid needs iodine. And in the table of elements, periodic table, fluoride, fluorine is at the top of that. All of those. I'm not concerned right now. Anyway, it replaces the iodine and mucks up your thyroid, makes you hypothyroidism. Thank you. And there's a big study in the UK about that. All the GPs put their data in, and you have a 30% chance of having underactive thyroid if you lived in a fluoridated area. Now there's a developmental neurotoxin, and this is before the latest court case in America. Took 6 years. They tried to suppress the outcome of one of the health studies. Showed it was a proven hazard. Both sides agreed it was a proven hazard, a proven risk, and they argued that it was an unreasonable risk. The judge just brought down his decision a couple of weeks ago and declared it an unreasonable risk to the brains of children. With the fetus or the babies, especially on formula-fed babies using tap water, it's just like lead. It took them 20, 30 years to get lead out of paint and petrol, and it's going to take 70 or 80 to get it out of water. Fluoride out of water. And all these figures have grown. There's 70 odd studies animal studies, etc., etc. And then we get to the latest ones in North America. Everybody can't breastfeed, so they put formula. Bottle fed, you can get up to 250 times the level of fluoride in mother's than what's in mother's milk. And it's an enzyme poison, a neurotoxin, and you give it to the baby.
So is that the excuse of doing that to keep it bacteria free, or just because it's good?
It's only in the water because it's supposed to be good for teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Chlorine's in the water to
Yeah.
kill bacteria,
Yeah.
but you can get rid of
Oh, okay.
you can get chlorine out of the water by just leaving the jar,
In some.
and that chlorine will evaporate off.
Oh, okay.
The fluoride won't
Yeah, I've
evaporate.
heard that before, I don't believe a word of it.
I don't either.
I mean, I can still taste it, I mean, like, if it's been left there for 24 hours, 48 hours, yeah, I still taste it.
That's
Well,
probably less.
you can get a cheap filter and filter it out,
Yeah.
but you need a dearer filter to filter out the fluoride.
That's what I'm saying.
And the effectiveness, there's lots of studies, they'll bring up studies that show this. With torture statistics, you can get them the same. But their own, I can give you the results for the 2020 Oral Health Report. 89% of Australians have access to fluoridated water. So a lot of us should have good teeth because of fluoridated water. Well, the other statistic in that, the same figure, 89% of Australians will get tooth decay in their lifetimes. So how effective is that? And as you'll see later, the Cochrane collaboration, the best reviewing organisation of medical stuff in the world, has just come out last week and said it's virtually zero effectiveness for adults because it's come down over, and I'll show the graph later, and very unaffected for children as well. And this proves both fluoridated countries and non-fluoridated countries, the tooth decay has come down. This is WHO figures for 12-year-olds decay. So if tooth decay come down in non-fluoridated countries, that proves fluoridated water didn't bring it down. Something else brought it down. But when you talk to the health authorities, they say, well, fluoride in fluoridated countries has brought tooth decay down. They're lying again. That's about it was coming down all the time, tooth decay. It was coming down before they introduced fluoride toothpastes and fluoridation in the water.
Could that be because of nutrition?
Yes, this chart shows that. I just remember the word.
Sorry, I'm blind.
Well, see, here's all the states in America.
Yeah.
50 of them. Some are very low or almost zero fluoridation. Down here, zero.
Yeah.
And some very, this one's 100%. Kentucky, 100% fluoride. Okay, tooth decay for children in rich people. Doesn't matter whether you've got zero, it's all about the same. Or you've got 100% fluoridation, it's about the same. And then for poor people, it's lower because they're poor and don't eat very well. Doesn't matter how much fluoride's in the water, it all depends on nutrition, basically. It's not ethical, it's medication without consent, form 3 and form consent. There's no more to say about that. You can't control the dose. You're not told about the risks. It's safe and effective. In Queensland, it's the councils who decide. In New Zealand, they have a Human Rights Act, but the clever Supreme Court says, yes, it does violate the human rights, but it's good for teeth, so forget about your rights. And the global trend is defluoridation. Some European countries have taken it out. And now we've only got 5% of the world population has fluoridated water. Now 98% of Europeans don't have fluoridated water. China's banned it, India's banned it, Japan doesn't ban it, and many other countries. Lots of communities are taking it out, including Queensland Council. I said I was going to skip through these, didn't I? Proven alternatives, as with the eliminating fire ants as a safe alternatives. Scotland is non-fluoridated, and they have a child program. They actually talk to the parents, talk to the kids, tell them to clean their teeth with toothbrushes. They do use fluoridated toothpaste, if they consent to it. But they're having better progress than the rest of England, which is over 10% fluoridated. Denmark's got a similar program. It's just education.
A lot of the English have really bad teeth.
That's probably a fallacy. Some do, some don't. I can show you data from the WHO where England has better teeth than America. And not much difference from Australia. The Murdoch Press put in a funny little ad from the Simpsons, which said the same thing. Trust us, we quote the Simpsons. Mr. Murdoch and Press. And how are we? And these some of mine. My word. If you're not outraged, you haven't been paying attention. It's chronic low-dose poisoning from wound to tomb. In 1943, in the Journal of the Medical Association of America, said it's a protoplasmic poison, probably because it is an enzyme inhibitor. 1943, they knew it was a poison. Okay, about 10, 20 years ago, the National Institute of Health in America, part of the health department or human health services, equivalent of health department, they have a database. They have a medical database called PubChem. No, PubMed. Hear myself. They also have a chemical database called PubChem. And this is what's in PubChem from the National Institutes of Health in America. Quote, fluorides inhibits various enzyme systems, and the word I can't pronounce, energy systems, and binds calcium, causing anticoagulation and other toxic effects. In addition, fluoride is a mitogen for osteoblasts that stimulates bone formation. So there, the United States government says it's an enzyme inhibitor, which is the same as saying enzyme poison. And then it explains the same thing in a bit more information in section 11.11. Here's a map of the world. 5% of the population has politicians that mandate, enforce poisonous fluoride into their drinking water. Only about 7 countries have more than about 50% of the population fluoride. Oops. Anyway, let me go through all the main ones: Australia, America, Chile, Ireland, Malaysia, Singapore, and the sultanship of Brunei. Dictatorship. Here's Queensland. That's an old one, but anyway, there's on that chart 19 councils out of 77 have artificial government fluoridation. And on this chart there's 14 regions. See the red area down the bottom? That's South East Queensland. 11 councils there. It's on a water grid. And Gibney's just voted it out, but then said, oh, we're frightened. Potential people might get up.
I did the same thing in 2013 too. Had the opportunity, all the councils and mayor voted, they said no thank you, and then about 6 months later it was scared to put it back on. So it sounds like they got pressured.
Yep. When they changed the law in 2013, of the 11 councils in South East Queensland, 8 inquired about taking it out. But they got a special tricky law here in South East Queensland that if you want to take it out, you got to make sure your neighbour still gets fluoride if your neighbour in the council wants it. So they said, oh, that'll cost you hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. So since then, Gympie's voted to take it out, but they're going to consult the people after the fact. They voted 6-3 to take it out. In the last 40 years, they never consulted the people to either put it in or keep it in. Total hypocrites. Jimboomba is still coloured down there in dark green. Theirs is broken down for the last 10 months. They haven't bothered to fix it. Too costly. They're still deciding. They'll spend millions of dollars to fix it. That's 31 Queensland councils, possibly 32 now, since 2013 have decided either reject it, vote it out, or, and that's the full list. And there's another 20 that we're never going to have it in because they're too small towns or whatever. Exempt. Aboriginals have 16 councils they control. 15 of those have said, no, get it out, we're not having it. They're smarter than we are. The 16th one has natural fluoride nearly double what it should be legally allowed if it was artificial. And there's just a couple of miles of trying to get it out. Number one, lodge complaints to the water supplier and stop paying your water bill. I did this in February 2022. I still got water in Brisbane. They might be able to restrict the flow, but they haven't. I must be honest, and they put another $600 charge on my bill against my property, but I still got water, and my property's worth $1 million. If I carve it, that's not my problem. And the bill's up to $5,000 at the moment.
Aren't they going to come down at some point and say, if you don't pay this, they're going to do court proceedings, yada yada yada?
It's not a criminal offence, it's a civil offence, and they haven't taken me to court yet.
Mm.
I don't think they'll be going. They've never answered my complaints. They put a debt collector on me, and I read the ACCC law. It says if there's a dispute, you've got to stop collecting the debt and work to resolve the dispute. I never heard from them again. So the internal recoveries bloke sent me those final notice and said, pay up within 40 days or else we put this other charge. I sent him the same letter, he never replied. So he's violating ACCC guidelines.
And you've got that letter as a template that we can use?
I've got somewhere here.
If people would do it.
A lot of this stuff's on the Unity Hub under my profile. So yeah, that's number one. Or you could just lodge complaints and threaten to stop paying the water bill. Number three, lodge complaints and send them an invoice for your filter, and you could deduct the price of the filter and the costs, or bottled water or whatever, from your water bill.
That's a good idea.
Number four, send them an invoice and threaten to deduct it and see what they say. They don't reply to me anymore.
You could also raise a complaint with the ombudsman, because
That's
that
right.
automatically, the utilities or whoever you're dealing with will get a $1,000 fine, whether you're right or wrong. They'll have to pay $1,000, I think is the figure, 1,032, once a complaint is lodged. So,
Is that they have to pay?
yeah.
Yeah, so
Because as they will try to resolve the issue and make contact with you if you threaten ombudsman. So whether you win the fight or not is as soon as it goes
I've
to
learned
ombudsman,
you
it's
can always
charged.
also complain against the ombudsman, about the ombudsman.
Yeah.
Just keep
Or
going
if
on.
they charge themselves for it, you know.
There's what's not on there. People have tried notices of liability, letters of demand, bills of exchange. They ignore them as well. But there's a man in Redlands, he's gone through that process and he's willing to take them to court. He knows how to take people to court. And I think he'll do it too.
We should all go if he does that.
Yeah, if he sets a precedent. That's the thing. If a big proportion of people stop paying the water bill, it'd be all over.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not going to make any profit. But it's like everything. You can't get enough people to do it. Then you've got the normal stuff. She likes to complain to politicians. Well, here in Queensland, it's the local politicians that make the decision. But you can go above their head to state politicians. But I think they're a bit busy in the next month or so. You could threaten legal action. Yeah, there's go to the state ombudsman. I think there's a water ombudsman
There's
or a health ombudsman. There's, now it's a health unreasonable risk to children and grandchildren. Legal action, if you've got the money, violates consumer law, it's not fit for purpose, there's no consumer guarantee, and you haven't consented to it. Contract law, contract is between two consenting people. Consent again. Common law, same thing, consent. Some people want to go constitutional law. Or there's heaps of template letters. Oh, I'm not sure whether complaints or just questions on our website. And then because of the Human Rights Act in Queensland. Queensland, Victoria, ACT, that's the dentist turned up goes. Listen,
Just say that sentence you were saying before when the dentist had a go at us. That sentence. What were you saying just a moment ago in that?
yeah, human rights, the Human Rights Act in Queensland, Victoria, ACT, and Section 17C, a person must not be subjected to medical or scientific experimentation, or subjected to a medical treatment without the person's full, free, and informed consent. So that should be.
Yeah, but if you want to work in certain areas, they still make you have lots of and all of the injections, like the council. Unless
Yeah,
you say you're allergic to
That's
something.
for a deadly disease that might kill us all.
Yeah.
This is
Not all of them. They make you have all of them.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about, this is for tooth decay. It's
Yeah.
not a deadly disease.
Yeah.
Not many people die from tooth decay. Yes, sir.
We don't have trouble with that one here because we consider it's a bit of an oxymoron the way they play both sides. Dentistry in Australia is considered a cosmetic practice, which is why it's not covered under Medicare. So it's not a health thing. You can't get them for the health treatment because it's not treating you. So it's to protect your teeth.
Well,
Also, when you talk about dentistry stuff like this, they say it's just a cosmetic. We don't consider it a medical field. So
it's for the health of your teeth.
I know, that's exactly what they're saying.
It's promoted by the AMA, the ADA, the NHMRC, the Health Department of every state and territory, and the Health Department of Australia, and it's not medical treatment.
No.
Okay. Anyway, it's a good argument to hear with. And in every council, you can put in a human rights complaint. My council is violating my human rights. I put one in about a month or so ago to the Brisbane City Council. I got 45 days to respond. They've acknowledged the receipt of it. I put in another complaint and they said, oh no, it's a state government issue. Which is a complete lie. They got the decision in 2012. They make the decision. One of the councillors in Brisbane was on the state government, LNP government. At the time, Tracy Davis, she's now a councillor in the city council. So I said, go talk to Tracy, she'll fill you in. This is the CEO's office. They're morons. National Strike Australia. Como John. Anyway, he's got his website up and he tells you how to go through an NRL notice of liability process, send it to the CEO of your council. I've done that, no reply. But it's a 3-step process, and then you take it to court and say, well now you owe me $250 million. I learned that the CEO of Brisbane resigned back in April, but not because of this. But there's a new guy now, and that's just a little thing I put up. 5 reasons to stop paying the water bill, or I should know what by heart. Some people are sensitive to fluoride. And they don't acknowledge that, but it's proven. A doctor in the Netherlands in the 70s, and George Walbert, a doctor in America, 60s, 70s, proved it. But probably what I said before, consumer law, contract law, and there's another law in Queensland called Code of Conduct for a healthcare worker delivering a healthcare service. Well, natural therapist of some description, or an unregulated healthcare worker. Well, this is a healthcare service for the health of your teeth being delivered by an unregulated healthcare provider. And a whole heap of clauses, about 15. Clause 2 says you've got to get consent. No consent there either. I drew up a statutory declaration. So go on and take personal liability. And it virtually says, you, politician, local politician or water supplier, you will sign this if you will take personal financial liability to guarantee the safety, 100% safety of fluoride for 100% of people for 100% of their lifetime.
It's the same like everybody has vaccines.
Correct.
Can you prove it? That's maybe
Prove it's safe. And if you say it's safe and effective, so put your money where your mouth is. I haven't got one person to sign this, including the president of the LNP, who's now the mayor of Windy Council. Always forget his name.
Isn't there a law or something? I remember, because I come from Victoria originally, and we had a big fluoride, anti-fluoride, whatever in Geelong, and Warrnambool was doing the same thing about the same time. And about the time when people started protesting, they brought in this law to say that you couldn't prosecute anybody. I don't know whether it's in the Water Authority or in the government generally.
Well, yeah, it's written in the law
So,
here.
no.
If you can prosecute them or take them to court, but if there's a financial duty rate, well anyway, the state government then comes in to indemnify any water supplier, and if they're found guilty, the state government has to pay the money.
Right.
But it's not, you can't find them guilty because they've made legislation to make it legal to poison the water. So they got us there, haven't they? We just made it legal to poison the water. If we did the same thing, we'd be terrorists. This is Australian Drinking Water Guidelines. They've got section 1. The guidelines is NHMRC, National Health and Medical Research Council. They're a division of the Health Department in Canberra. And they've got this thousands of pages of drinking water guidelines. They also have a little disclaimer on the first couple of pages. We're not liable for any of this. And they talk all about fluoride. This part's about 1.4, section 1.4, community consultation. And they have some great words there, like, I can't read it, but the people are to be consulted because they're important. They're the final judges of the quality of the water. And you have to consult them. Also, they have to determine whether the quality is good enough and be prepared to pay money. It's different wording. I can't remember it. They have, well, according to that consultation, they have the choice to pay for it or not. But of course, it's not legal because they're just stewards. The regulators in Australia are the states and territories. But virtually in Queensland, the regulators or the decision maker is your local council. That's up the north coast. That's Brisbane, owned by 5 councils. Up the north coast, it's owned by 3 councils. They did have a similar thing here for Redland, Logan, and Gold Coast. The law connects to something. Proven to be money grabbing liars. they gave the choice, you three councils can take that your water supply. And they all said, yeah. That's different from that. No taxation without representation. That's why America revolted against England, because they were getting taxed on their tea or whatever. I didn't like that. You can go to the Bureau of Meteorology urban water reports, and you can get all the data on how much money they make. That's other councils' financial reports, how much money Brisbane takes 120 million out or 200 million or something out of their water. Up the coast, they got a reply from a mechanical engineer. And I said, well, I don't debate this civil engineer. But there are the 27 councils. And for all these councils, I say, are they cowards? Are they fluoride hypocrites? Fluoride liars? Fluoride medical fascists? And I got an argument that they are on all those issues. I've got sick of being honest with these people. Personally, I get too long. Now that's where I used to finish it, but it is a bit of I had extra bonuses for loading stuff. It looks like it's saved to the computer. So USB. The Logan Council tells lies on their page. They say, they ask themselves a question and then they don't answer it. Like, why is there fluoride in the water? They said, fluoride's in the water because SEQ water puts it in. No. Fluoride's in the water because the councillors are the decision makers and they decide to put it in the water. And there's other things like that, they don't answer the question. And they don't warn you about the risks, etc. The other stuff I had on there is I snuck into a presentation from SEQ Water and Water People, and Stony Mountain Engineering Corp, or SMEC, did a presentation on Logan's asbestos cement pipelines, where they're deteriorating both from the inside and outside. That's going to cost a fortune to replace them all. And they all need to be done within, well, a big percentage of them need to be done within 10 years. Well, in that UK consultation, they've admitted in the UK that fluoride can corrode concrete pipes. And when it does that with asbestos cement pipes, you can get asbestos into your water supply. I mean, filter, take it out. You can put your clothes in your dryer, and that might shoot the asbestos into the air. And you'll get plural mesothelioma, possibly. Or if you swallow it, you can get, no, that's one. I think you got nurses here. Plurals in the gut, and the lung one is another name, mesothelioma. I think Logan makes $22 million profit on their water, on that data. Anyway, the big things lately, last week or two, the judgment in America says it's an unreasonable risk to the brains or IQs of the unborn children or the formula-fed children. And then Cochrane collaboration, which says it's virtually ineffective. A waste of money. I'll stop there. Yes, well,
Take that in there.
should take it out, depending how efficient it is. Can leave a little tiny bit in. You do waste a lot of water. Some people like to put a bit of salt back into it, to put the minerals back into it. Yeah, fluoride, reverse osmosis, you get a distiller. There's other types, ionic exchange, there's gravity-fed ceramic urns with a raw golden fluoride filter.
Sazing, fluoride removal unit too. Sazing, they're a Queensland-based company and they've been around for a long time now. But
Yeah, quite a few
yeah.
different types.
I'll have to grab the spelling.
We're,
I'll later, I'll have to grab that spelling, but maybe later.
But with that, you could send a bill to your councillor and say, you put it in without my consent, or why don't you pay my water bill? Water filter costs.
so expensive.
You have to change the filter every year or whatever.
Yeah, it's much to replace.
Yeah, well, we're about to have a campaign sending a letter to every councillor in Queensland, for council. 600 councillors in Queensland, 200 or so put fluoride in water. I've been through all those 31 councils have taken it out. I've got links to newspaper articles of why they're taking it out. And I made a summary of the reasons, about 9 or 10 different reasons they take it out. The greatest question is costs. And the Local Government Association of Queensland, which has 77 members, which is the 77 councils, they have a policy. The second policy is to have the state government pay for all running costs. Councils aren't in the health business. The state government's in the health business, but the state government won't do it because the balance of power is such a fine line that they haven't got the guts to do it. The Liberals changed it in 2012, so they're not going to change it back. And the Labor have said, no, we're not changing it. Fenton, the health minister, said she's not doing it. At the time, Miles said it should be back in. And he got shouted down by the rest of them and says, you idiot, we might get knocked out of power if we do that. We're probably going to get knocked out of power anyway. So it's up to the councils. And to me, you challenge them and say, you don't have a clue how it works. Why should you prescribe poison in the water for the outside service? It doesn't make sense. But the biggest thing is the cost. The councils always cry poor, so we haven't got enough money for this or that. Most councils should be concentrating on roads, rates, rubbish, parks, libraries, and good clean water. Stay out of healthcare. I think I found, Logan. They give free flu vaccinations, but you've got to go on an app and give consent. Where's the consent for your dental treatment added to the water, the poison in the water? It accumulates in your bones and it has about a 20-year half-life in your bones. So it keeps coming out slowly to re-poison you the second time around. It's just a complete farce. because of this report early in America, they're starting to get where the local people have to say, or local ward board, there's a risk to children. Well, we're going to get rid of it, so they're stopping it straight away. It's big news in America, all the media is talking about that court ruling. There's even a couple in New Zealand. We've sent out media releases about it to as many organisations as we could. Nothing. Zero. Crickets. The media guilty of keeping them in the water and complicit in this poisoning of our babies, let alone us adults. Try and get everybody to complain. Oh, there's a. We got a cup of water. We're like about 2.2 milligrams of fluoride in that cup. You get a little dot of toothpaste on a toothbrush. So, probably it's the wrong water, but you got a similar amount of fluoride in that toothpaste on the toothbrush. What's it say on the packet? Do not swallow toothpaste. Colgate's got a fluoride mouthwash. You put 10 mils in the cap. It's 220 parts per million. And any mathematical genius or not will tell you that's 0.22 milligrams per 10 litre. It says, do not swallow, do not give to children under 6. Don't give to children under 6. 0.22 milligrams. A cup of water's got 0.2. Swallow as much as you like, kids. Go for it. This one's children's Colgate mouthwash. I think it's 100 parts per million. More than half of what's in here. So a quick calculation is 0.1 of a milligram is in 10 litre cap of that. So half of what's in that 250 ml of water, do not swallow, still do not give to children under 6. 0.1 milligrams. They might have known there's a neurotoxin for the little brains. But they do that because it might give them dental fluorosis for their adult teeth forming in their jaw. But if it can affect the hardest enamel or part of your body, it might affect some of your soft tissues as well, and it does. Your present politicians, cowards, liars, ignorant, medical fascists. Other than that, they're very nice people. And that's what you do. I learned from a FBI negotiator. When you talk to these people, you say, you're a nice bloke, you're in politics to be helpful. Well, I'm here to get a win-win situation and keep your reputation out of future trouble. Because once all the science and stuff gets known by everybody, their reputation is going to have to do. Only 5% of the right around the world have mandated this safe and effective, not poison. Any other questions?
Well, a lot of us here are probably on tank water, so how does that relate to fluoride, if at all?
So, if you're on tap water,
Tank water, yeah. rainwater.
Most of us are on tank water.
Yeah, well, there should be very little fluoride in the atmosphere unless you're near an industrial factory, oil refinery, a cement factory, and steel works, aluminium works, etc. But you probably still want to filter your tank water. It's chemtrails. That might be bad.
That don't happen, do it?
Bird poo.
There's
Yeah,
also the trickle feed, tap,
Yeah.
that's council water, yeah.
that's
Yeah,
council.
we have that.
But after the last rains we had, I want to make our tanks to be full. Why not?
Yeah, most spring water is very low in fluoride. In Widenhoe Dam, where you probably get most of your water, is 0.05 milligrams per litre. They boost it up to 0.8. All you can do is keep swishing your raw water and spit it out. Or swallow it.
Do they have accurate record keeping of how much fluoride they put in the water, and is that available for public access?
Yeah, I have. Inside, they gave me a link to a giant website, SEQ orders 24, 25, water treatment plants, and yeah, all the chemicals that are in the water are listed on this giant spreadsheet, and they actually got machines that test it 24/7.
Okay.
Every second of the day. If it's too low, stops everything. Can't have it too low, but especially when it goes too high, it stops everything as well. And I think they should have all this stuff on their websites. Also, every batch should have a certificate of analysis of all the impurities in the chemicals that come from China. China bans it in their water, but we get Chinese toxic industrial waste put in our water. But each batch, which is many tons for some of the big stuff, they have to analyse what the contaminants are, which has small amounts of arsenic, heavy metals, and possibly radioactivity. And 6 or 7 of them are carcinogens. And a carcinogen in any amount is a risk.
It also contributes to mental health issues.
Probably a little bit. Yeah, I've come across Korean study during COVID, probably nothing to do with fluoride because they got very little fluoridation in capital Korea. 85% of the people had a jab in Seoul, Korea. 15% were unjabbed. But over the first, for 3 months during COVID, mental health issues kept going on. And for 4 of the 6 issues, the jabs were going up a lot faster than unjabbed. So it's got nothing to do with fluoride. But then they said schizophrenics and bipolar people, unjabbed were going up faster than jabbed. So therefore the jab was good for schizophrenics and bipolar. Loopy some of these Korean medical people as well.
You said the fluoride came from the insecticide, pesticide industry.
Well,
I sort of heard something about from the aluminium.
well, it's a few different sources. Most of it comes from the fertiliser industry.
Fertiliser, sorry. Fertiliser.
It's waste product or something, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I recently did a workshop at Gimby. State people come in and told lies, of course. Said it's not a toxic industrial waste product, but it is. They get phosphate ore for fertiliser. If they put that phosphate ore constantly fertilising the fields, the contaminants will eventually contaminate the fields. Arsenic, heavy metals, and fluoride. So they pour sulfuric acid over the phosphate ore. That dissolves out the arsenic, fluoride, heavy metals, and the fumes come off and go up the chimney. Now they collect that to stop it going down on the field, poisoning orchards or livestock, and collect it. And that's what they use in half of Australia to put into the water supply. The fluoride contaminant, heavy metal contaminant, the arsenic contaminants, but it's mostly fluoride. 28% or 22%, 22% is fluoride. And when it gets dissolved in the water, it's the fluoride ion that we swallow, hits the stomach, turns into hydrofluoric acid, and goes back into the bloodstream. Zooms around, goes to nearly every cell in our body, and our kidneys, if you've got healthy adult kidneys, get rid of about 50% only of the fluoride ions. The rest gets incorporated into the hard and soft tissues in the body.
Do you think that's why there's a lot more leaky gut these days than there's been in the past? I know this is a weird question, but I'm just curious. Like, you know.
More than likely, yeah. I mentioned about people who are hypersensitive to fluoride.
Yeah.
For their genetic makeup or being poisoned in the past.
Yeah.
Some of those people do have gut problems, gastric problems, bloating rust. They introduced fluoride and she got all these gut problems. She thought she was going to die.
It's just interesting because there's a lot more gut and neurological problems now than there's ever been. I understand that there's a lot less nutrition in food than there's ever been before. But like, I just like, you know, something going wrong.
That's because of vaccinations.
I know
That's
that
because of
too.
fluoride in the water, poor diet, there's a lot of that.
Well, after my son had his, he wasn't saying.
And then we have at
little,
schools, but then in schools they have dental bans that treat the children's teeth, which is not,
yeah.
for some children I suppose that's a good thing if they're doing
No, I didn't know.
holistic work, which is why you go to a holistic dentist, because they don't do any of this. And there are holistic dentists on the Gold Coast, there's one on the Sunshine Coast, there's one on the Plains. So they treat your teeth holistically.
I'm going to one at Margate in a week or two.
Where's mine?
So they treat you with things, so they treat you with things like clove oil, so you gargle with clove oil.
That's what I.
You simply go down and buy some cloves and put them in warm water, let it steam, and that's when you clean your teeth with coconut oil. That's what my grandchildren do, because my daughter's taught me to do that.
That's what I do. Because like, the clove, whenever I've ever had an infection in my tooth, it's done that. So I've only ever had one tooth removed, and that's because there wasn't enough space in my mouth. But like I'm all good, there's nothing else, you know. My teeth are all brown because I drink coffee. But apart from that, it's good.
When I listen to all those, the gargles and things like that, when you take a homeopathic remedy, you take it under the tongue, you know that, because that's where the body absorbs straight away. So if the children are gargling with that, where's it going? Straight into the system.
Yeah.
Straight into the bloodstream.
And right under the tongue is the most porous part of the body.
Sublingual.
Yeah, which is why you take a homeopathic ampulate under your tongue and let it dissolve naturally.
I always wonder, have you worked in hospitals, all that hand sanitizer and stuff, does that have anything? I know it would have, it's got something in it. I know it's alcohol, but there's
material.
The fluoride actually is a big one that they use for surgery and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm just keep thinking my brain.
Yeah, it's from the
Yeah.
Actually, in the last couple of days, the Australian Bureau of Statistics have brought out dementia overtaking heart disease is the biggest killer. And they said in the last 50 years it's gone up 862% dementia deaths.
And younger and younger people.
And there's a study in non-fluoridated Scotland where small amounts of fluoride in combination with small amounts of aluminium is associated with a higher risk of dementia with fluoride aluminium. The last 50 years, dementia is going through the roof. And the last 50 years was when fluoride was started in Australia, 60s and 70s.
I don't know if this is a coincidence, but I noticed that they've shared people for a long time. I know that a lot of older people will eat canned things because I guess in the war that's what they got used to and stuff like that. So people who ate the things that were canned, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, they seem to have a lot of dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that. It just seems to be more in them from my experience. Like obviously I'm not a scientist or anything, but from my experience, I noticed those specific people ate a lot of canned food every day.
And that generation used to put in saucepans and elements.
Plus I can show you studies where processed food or even non-processed food is cooked in fluoridated water as against non-fluoridated water. The fluoride content is 200 to 300% higher because it's absorbed, and then when you boil it, more goes in as well. I don't think how departments, politicians don't know.
We should officially thank you. Yeah, no, it was really good, really good.
So we just have to get rid of the politicians all the way around.
Yeah, it'd be great.
That's politicians on the virus. Just take out the politicians.
Keep sending the bills.
They tend not to be listening.
Notice of liability in power to have it down to fine art. And you just tell it, you keep that in water, if you can't prove it safe, you owe me $1 million. And they can't prove it safe. Eventually you go through the process, you can take it to court, and they will resign, because they're not going to make it. All right. But the trouble is, they didn't get replaced. So. Just a small part of the fluoridation fraud started in America, and this court case could finish in America. It's a house of cards, and it could collapse at any time. But it's been policy for 60, 70, 80 years, and it sounds like they want to fight for the death. Well, it's not. So they can take it out.
Yeah. Thank you also, Trevor. That was terrific. Do you have more of these? Yeah, that's great. Because it would be good to, thank you.
A few stickers here if you want to put them on your
Yeah.
car.